carved these eyes and put these in yesterday. Overnight, I just let it soak in this bowl of lemon juice water. Um, I'm gonna touch all this up. I'll probably rip off those eyelids in the end, and oh, not the eyelids, but maybe the eyebrow, the little strip on each side. Maybe the whole eyelid. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm gonna clean up all this afterwards, um, and push the eyes in and adjust them. Right now, they're just there for now, and I'm gonna move on to the face. I mean the mouth. Um, So this is a sweet potato. This is obviously a sweet potato, and the white parts that you see are russet potato, and with the carrot, iris, and just the deep shadows into the carrot to create the pupil. And then for the highlight is just a piece of russet potato as well. So I need to draw a mouth on here, and then I'm gonna cut it out and start carving. I have this little. So I took a photo of this guy, and I kind of sketched out on my phone how I would like to see his mouth look in the end. There's going to be then perhaps might be some difficulty in this corner of the mouth because the wall of when I carved this, if you watch the first video, um, I took away too much meat right here, and it's going to be difficult um, to get that mouth in there without busting through. But that's okay if I bust through. I'll figure out what to do. Because there's a back hatch on this, it's going to be dark in there, so I could always glue pieces of sweet potato, just to finish off the gums if I need to there. But I'm going to try and go real shallow over here and carve into the wall this way. And that's what I would do anyway, because in order to get the shadows of the silhouette of the mouth, I'm gonna need to carve into it, not so much this way. I need to go deep that way. So, as I lay out this mouth, I'm gonna, I sit back, I look at it, I make sure that I'm not like cutting a mouth, just kind of going like this and drawing the mouth and cutting it out, and then all of a sudden turn it to the front, only to realize that I've lost the framing of the skin. I want this potato skin to frame around the mouth, so and to photograph and to be overall be able to view it nicely. So I'm going to. So this pencil doesn't really draw on there well. This draws on there excellent, but I'm worried that if I make the wrong, like I want to preserve all the skin. So if I draw on an area, I don't think I'll be able to wipe this off. So I just got to be real careful. I believe that I want the mouth to at least go down here. Okay, and I really like this little hair thing, so I don't want to get rid of that. Actually, I'm going to try and transplant some little growths that I have on like some of these potatoes, like this one. And I would have had another one. I had this, but it's kind of big. Thought I could add it out there if I want. But I really want to go to this grocery store. I went this morning, but they didn't. I was going to go through the sweet potatoes and hopefully find little pieces and little fragments, or just pluck some of these off of some that were there, but there's nothing. It's only this little loose piece was sitting on the bottom somewhere, and that's it. But I would like to have a whole bunch more, not a whole bunch, maybe 8 to 12, no, maybe just 8. And I would kind of cut these and embed them in there so they look natural. And I'm still gonna do that. Just don't have enough to do it the finished way right now. My nipple potato. Anyway, okay. So let's see. This mouth should probably go. This needs to be the outer edge, which means this will be the inner part. This side I have more, you know, when I look at it from the front view, there's a little bit more material here than there is on this side. I mean, obviously, as you rotate this, it adjusts, but want to be symmetrical from the inner eye part, so I probably should even went a little further. Now, as I open this mouth up, this is going to lose a lot of integrity as far as structure goes because I've already hollowed out his brain part, or his cranium. No brain in there right now, which is hollow. Maybe down here. That. And let's go. So I'm just using a pen, but it actually has a lot of. God, it even has my freaking company on there. I didn't. Must have got this in the mail. It works good. Okay. Here we go. So, is there a cat? All right, now I gotta cut. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this and just chip away the skin. I don't want to take away any of the material just yet. And let's see. Okay. And I'm just gonna carefully take this skin off, just a little bit below the skin, maybe an 1/8 inch or so. Yeah, this is another triangle knife that I have that I just like and I want to use. It's not in the set because it's a little bit expensive, but I like this knife. It's got two different. This side's stiff. It's like a long X-Acto blade. Actually, I should carry these on our web store. I think I'm going to. Then this side's a little flexible, and that flexibility helps you. Like if you're carving something, you want to get a curve and you need to get deep. It'll kind of bend with the material a little, but I don't want that side right now. I'm gonna use this side. Get this side here. Just want to be real careful not to scrape up the potato skin. Part of this design, well, we want to have that skin stay there. And once it flakes off, it's just really fragile. Okay, so that's where the mouth area is going to be. Now, I want to be able to like on these corners of the mouth up on the side here. When you look at it from the front, I want there to be some nice shadows that you could see going back. So much of my carving is going to go through the side of the wall, not directly into the center. Okay, and that's how I would go about it no matter what. The advantage for me on this side is because I accidentally got so hollow over here. So the back of this is cut out, opened, remember? Right? I shouldn't have, hollowed out too much material over here. So about from, say, here up, I don't want to go in too far. And luckily I don't have to. I want to go this way. If I break through, I'll just deal with it. But I'm going to try not to break through. Okay, I want to square a little bit. So before I just want to flatten this area out a little. So right now I'm going to be carving gums, upper and lower gums. And then I'm going to add russet potato teeth. So he has white teeth. So this is just a loop tool, triangle loop tool here. Okay. So up in this area, a smaller detailed loop, I'm going to actually get a small square one. So because I do so many of these, I have it's useful for me to have different sizes. So this one I just made. I have this size in the set, so it's a little wider. And then I have in the carving set, I have, the detailed one. Then I also have a pointy one. But there's only so many tools I can include in just a starter set. But because I carve so much stuff, I have some custom tools that I made. So right now, this is a little easier to get into there. But if all you have is a regular set or whatever you have, this is not impossible to get in there with other tools. So right now, I feel like I'm hitting probably a toothpick or something. Maybe not. Nope. I thought maybe a toothpick because I do have some toothpicks going in there. And it seemed a little harder, but that was just the potato. There's a lot of work for just carving a stupid potato, but I tell you what, when this is done and I photograph it, it's just so fun to look back at things like a potato like this carved with a little personality and attitude, and it makes then at that point I become grateful that I put the time into playing with this material that it's just obviously gonna rot. I mean, you can preserve them. This guy was carved over a year ago. He's dried out. This one was carved, I think, going on 8 years ago, and he's pickled in vinegar. But in general, it's still just a potato. But then again, things are just, famous stone sculptures are just rock, or amazing pencil drawings are just charcoal or something. The fact that this is just a potato makes it even cooler. It's where the magic is tied up in. So as I'm carving into it, I'm gonna turn it and make sure that I'm getting the look of the framing, the graphics of the face how I want it. Where's that little tube loop? So you see right here, I'm carving deep into it, and that's making it nice and dark. And try to pay attention to those things. Even the fact that before it gets dark, the thickness of what I leave has a nice orange glow, like orange outline. And these are all things that when I'm done and I photograph it, or not even just photograph, I'm looking at it. The reason I talk about photographs a lot is just because often these things are perishable, so they're gone, and usually we're just left with the photos. But I try to keep those things in mind, really paying attention to what I'm looking at, and notice the lines, the shapes, the silhouette, all those things. Now, it's going to be important for me for this to be somewhat symmetrical. So I'm hoping that I'm able to dig into here without busting through. And like I said, if I bust through, from the inside, again, because it's hollow, I hollowed out this head for the eyes. But let's just go ahead and start to see what we have here. Once I get to this level, I'm good to go, but it's up in this eye part that I gotta be careful. And yesterday when I was doing this, I thought, if I bust through, I could put a tongue there to cover it, have a tongue sticking out. But I don't want a tongue sticking out, not because it is a lot more work that I don't want to do, but that's not the reason. I just don't think a tongue going up from his mouth, going up like that, would look right. His mouth is open. Like if his tongue were sticking way up there to cover that, it would make more sense that his mouth is closed and the tongue sticking out as if he's licking up on his face. But mouth open and I want to have some teeth. I want to have some decent sized teeth here. It just doesn't work for my design. So if I break through, I'm gonna I could already tell I'm not gonna break through. I would have broken through already, I think. See, I'm trying to capture this nice framing of there. So it's sweet potato, so it doesn't oxidize like a russet potato. It doesn't get brown. Although if it did get, like, the eyes are russet potatoes, so we just put lemon juice. I got lemon juice there, and I'll be using that lemon juice later for all the teeth, because I'll do those in russet. All right, I'm gonna refer to this. So last night after I took some photos of this guy, and right now I just look, and I sketched out how I want the mouth. So I'm just gonna look at it real quick to refer to it. So there's what I'm shooting for. Okay. So take off a little over here. So I'm just gonna sculpt, like, kind of leave gums there, and then I will carve all the little sockets for the teeth into those gums, and then I'll cut some pieces of russet potato and fill them all in. And this is something I've done several times with regular pumpkins, and a few times with sweet potatoes as well. I enjoy, like, building the mouth with different materials, rather than not. I mean, sometimes it's just the straight up carving or whatever material and stick with that material, but I really like adding these different materials for the color changes, especially with the russet potatoes for white teeth. I like doing that with onto these sweet potatoes, or like a butternut squash or a pumpkin. It works really well for both the sweet potato and butternut, just because it just really, well, especially for the sweet potato, because the color difference, the sweet potatoes is pretty deep orange. The butternut squash can get a little yellow. Pumpkin definitely can get yellow, or sometimes really pale yellow white, which I don't, a creamy color. Once in a while you get a pumpkin has like a really deep rind color, especially if you get, like, not so much a pumpkin, but like a Hubbard squash could have some great colors that'll contrast the white teeth. So, like, all right, so here's the side of, it's his rind, his skin. And like I said, I have to have no choice but to keep it some sort of thickness, because the skin is so paper thin. But I try to keep it a thickness that I'm intentionally making, so that I can have that nice orange line, and try to make sure that it's as clean and crisp as possible. It's easy sometimes to start getting a little sloppy and stuff, and then in the end you could see all the sloppiness in the carving, and sometimes it's nice to have it all so clean that it looks like when I'm done with it, it looks like a little tiny animated graphic cartoon. Especially after you sand some of the pieces and smooth it out. So in this piece, like those eyes were made with melon ballers, so they're already smooth, and various types of tools. Like there's hardly any sculpting right here. Very little sculpting. It's more of like a procedural type thing. If you watch the first video from yesterday where I did the eyes, you'll see what I'm talking about. Doesn't mean it's easy. I mean, it is easy, but easy in a sense that there's it's just steps, and some of those steps do require, well, maybe all of those steps require you to be mindful or pay attention. But at the end of the day, it's nothing one couldn't practice and perfect. So here is, I'm going to look at this drawing every once in a while. So I'm not going to worry about putting a tongue inside the mouth either, only because by the time I get his teeth and stuff, there's not, I'd rather have a nice dark cavity. Maybe I'll hint. After I carve away the opening to the mouth, I'll see what's there. Maybe I'll just kind of like hint at a tongue in there. So where this, so I got this little thin line here. So I'm going to transition into the bottom gum is going to go back here. So this bottom gum is going to turn around and go that way. So I want to bring it down to the right level, and then I'll go back with it. And if you have any questions at all on this stuff, you just type them in the comments when I'm done, and I'll try to get to all of them, or any of them. So technically this bottom drawer goes back. It would, at some point, the jaw, the mandible will go up, but the teeth will keep, maybe, the gum line will keep probably, for this size potato, maybe a 1/4 of an inch below that one at the furthest spot. And up here I'm going to go a little lower. I'll probably go a little higher up that way as well. I think last season I broke this one tool that I use a lot. I didn't see it although I just kind of quickly went looking for some of my tools and broke open these toolbox that I hardly ever haven't looked in since last season. But I didn't see this one tool that's really long. Imagine this long square loop, but like twice the size, so I can get back. See, as I go back in here, the handle is starting to get in there. So it's really important sometimes to have tools. Let's see, I could use this little dental tool probably. Yeah, I'll do that. That solves the problem. Yeah, so it's important to have just a lot of little tiny homemade tools or just options, just so that times like this when you're in need of something that's a little different to get in there, you have it. This is just little dental picks. So I'm gonna fix, when I'm done, I'm gonna go and fix those eyes so they're perfect. As far as like little gaps and pushed in, they're not glued right now. They're just like kind of pinned. And I may replace this piece of material on each side. Just when it's done, I'm gonna bring back full symmetry to the eyes. So the tip of this thing that I've been scraping in it with is just like that. Just allows me to dig in there deep without hitting the side of everything. And I'm not going to do a tongue. I want it to be nice and dark behind those teeth. So I'm going to be uploading a lot more content to this page. I've said that in the past, but I have to start doing that. And I want to. So I've said that before too, but as you can see, I'm doing it right now. And I want the content to be very expose my entire process. Like, like not all of it will be like this sort of live thing where you're just like watching over my shoulder as I work my way through it, but I want to make sure that I also have that type of stuff. I've done this design, something similar to this before, but I even want to have videos showing me do stuff that I haven't done before. I think that's important for me to put myself in those sort of vulnerable sharing spots, because I want to break through any sort of resistance I have to, like, I don't have any trade secrets, or I don't, there's nothing, just trying to make shit. You always come back to the only, I said it in the other video, the only trade secret actually like worth cracking is to learn how to not give a fuck, to do it and not worry about how it looks or where it's, those sorts of things, because those become the barriers that stop you from getting better at it. It's not like not knowing, like half these tools, like I haven't sharpened these tools. I don't ever sharpen my tools. And maybe if I make one, I sharpen it when I make it. But and half the tools I use sometimes, not the set, but like tools I make. Although this is really good, but no, I take that back. I was gonna say like some people are really into tools, and I've had other sculptors laugh at some of my tools, like they're like I'm using cavemen stuff sometimes, and I really think you can make shit out of anything though. Like, it's not so much the tool, it's the mindset and that. I mean, it does help. Good tools do help, but I have enough of the good tools. You don't need. You don't need. Oh, you can just make sure. You can make something with a hammer. Remember that? So I sculpted with a pumpkin with a hammer. You could do that too. But don't let like these tool sets. It can be kind of pricey. But don't ever allow for that to prevent you from doing this. I was carving stuff in the beginning with really super rudimentary, simple tools. It's not the tools. They can help, but it's usually not the thing that's preventing us from doing something better. All right, so as I reach for a tool that's going to be perfect for what I'm doing right now. What a hypocrite! Look at that. So here's another triangle tool that I love. You can see this really, really nice edge on there, and how it hooks to the side. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. So and it has a long handle here too, long neck, good reach, so I can go in there and scoop out, because like I said, I want to make the inside of this nice and dark, and this tool works perfect for it. So I left, this is going to go down just a little bit more, but I left it there just because during this process, I don't want to accidentally mar up any, finished edges. So I want to clean this cavity out first, and then I'll worry about getting those gums where they need to be. All right. So that's just me blowing on this, get all the little pieces out. Okay. All right, so take a little more off this side. So he's going to be missing several teeth, which will allow for you to see into his mouth. And so I want to make sure that the gum line drops off down deep and goes back deep, so that you get that darkness contrasting against the teeth and the gums. So often when I'm doing this, I'm not just thinking about like sculpturally what I want it to be a character, like, oh, he's gonna have like a big nose. Oh, there's no nose now, or those elements. I try to also look at it and see if I'm capturing the silhouette, lines that I want to see. Like I usually often have like a, a beauty angle. It's like a little angle that I'm like, okay, this is where all most of my beauty shots and stuff. This is the ideal viewing angle, and that angle is almost all the time um, dictated by the eyes. Um, because of the effect of the highlight and all that other stuff that I do with the eyes, I like to make sure that. Plus, I like when whatever it is that I'm carving is looking back at the viewer. So usually that happens to also be the ideal angle that I want it to be viewed at. Now, I'm carving this pretty deep so I can get those shadows, but I don't want to go like all too close to the rind everywhere else, because it needs some sort of strength and integrity to hold itself like structurally. I mean, obviously the potato is pretty rigid, so and strong, but you can, if I go too deep and make other areas super thin, it could like collapse or something like that, or break. Okay, I think that's probably enough. As I can do more. All right. He's getting all fucked up with the canned air spraying in his mouth and shit. All right. So I got a little tear right there, so I'm gonna cut that clean. Okay. So let me look at my little drawing of what I wanted to do. So I took a photo of this last night, and then I sketched on my phone again. So I want to. Okay, so I know I want. I want to use this little. This is a tiny little melon baller. And it's not like I've never used it for this. I might use it once in a while to carve something just because it's scoop easy. But it was sitting there right now. I'm thinking, hey, that might work good. And it is working good for this. Really good, actually. A round loop would work as well. Just a round ribbon tool. And I'm gonna use a round ribbon tool in a little bit here. This is working good for finding the bigger forms of the gum line. And you notice I'm indenting for each one. Like I'm gonna come back. You could either take this little detail tool, or I even have a little this one's kind of rounded, little ribbon loop. And eventually I'll come in and carve the actual tooth cavities. I'll do these real quick, but I'm gonna continue on that other tool. And then I'll sand all this too with a little sanding sponge. But anyway, this was working good for blocking it out, so. So this one that I'm doing right now will have a tooth on it, as will this one. Wait, so this one will have a tooth. So will this. And then this will have a tooth. And then it'll be empty over here. And then up there I'll have, let's see, so here, this will have a tooth coming here. I mean, whether they have a tooth or not, they're all gonna get a cavity put in. But I'm just making sure, I'm reminding myself where the teeth are going, because I want to make sure that I have a big enough cavity for the size tooth that I want there. And then, what did I say? So, tooth here, and then an empty spot here. And then over here, I'll have two teeth coming out, two small teeth coming out over here. And as this side here where they're going it's along this. Like I took too much over here already, but it's okay because it's so much on the lateral part of this carving that you're not going to really see much of it. Okay. And where there's going to be like no teeth, like right here, I want to be able to see that there's a cavity there from the angle where they're going to be viewed. So as I carve it, I make sure that it has a nice, that it reads nicely what's going on. I want it to be clearly understood. And, I'm just gently scraping with this tool, but I will also be able to refine this stuff with the sanding sponge so that everything's nice and smooth. Because sometimes as you're scraping, like it gets a little rough, and then you scrape a little more to try to get rid of that roughness, and it gets a little deeper, and you just keep chasing that, instead of just stopping and saying, okay, I'll address that with a different tool, whether that be a razor, a sharp knife, or sanding sponges or whatnot. So here's a tooth. And the sand. So this is just water, and I don't know if it's gonna do anything, but I always feel a little better when I go to sand something when it's wet. So this is just a sponge. You can use this, or like typically I use 3M sanding sponges. What is it? So that white stuff was on there the whole time. Can't really. I wish it wasn't there, but. I got more to do here. I don't know why I'm doing this right now. Okay. Like these cavities got to come up. I mean, a little bigger. So I'll have like just kind of crazy teeth, some missing, sharp, and then like I said, I want to put. I'm gonna add some of these little. I'll transplant. I'll find a whole bunch of these little root type things that are coming off the sweet potatoes, and give him a some coming off his head. Not too many, but just enough to look crazy. I may change some things about his eyelids and expression, but that'll be the last thing. Right now, his eyes are just temporarily pinned right there. So he has 2 teeth here. So let's see. And then the rest are empty. So as we go up this way, I just want to give little cavities that you can hopefully see. Or just at least indications of them. And then all right, on the bottom we have actually I want to do this a little better on the bottom. So the bottom has more exposed gum. So not only do I want to carve the cavities, I also want to carve the structure that leads up to them. Like, in other words, you'll see what I mean here. I don't know. So here's, let's Actually, first things first, I need to, where's, this side can come down a little bit more. Give him a little buzz while I'm doing some dental work on him. Okay. So, let's see, we have, he gets to, so the lighting here, it's hard to see. So these front two bottom teeth will have teeth. Then almost all these here will have no teeth. I'll probably put a little tooth up here somewhere. So we're just gonna make a whole bunch of cavities. Like I said, they all get cavities everywhere, but it's just helpful for me to say that out loud to myself. So as I'm making this, all right, so here, let me get in there. I'm trying to like explain anything worth explaining. But like I keep saying in the videos yesterday, only way to learn really is to screw something up, and then you learn. But anyway, as what I'm about to say here, so I'm gonna, I'm trying to go like this and scoop this out now. Because I've already carved this area out, and this on this side of the gums, there's nothing here. As I scoop this in, I suppose a better way of doing that, and that would solve it actually, would be to twist and rotate out this way. So I have the strength of not being able to collapse anything. Now the problem with that is that I don't want to mess up anything here. So I don't really, as I'm twisting this way, I'm applying pressure against this. I don't like that. So that's why I started off like twisting this way and cutting down. You see that? Cutting down. And then as I'm talking about this edge right here, it's cutting down. So safely, I'm not really, I don't feel myself doing anything that's going to bring harm to like accidentally slipping or messing up this, right? So I cut down, and as I was getting here, I stopped because I don't like the feeling of going that way against this wall here and accidentally blowing it out. So that's why I stopped, and I went this direction and went down and cut and then pulled out. That's what I did on both of these. I went like this, and then I went back this way and pulled out. Anyway, that's just a little explanation of just something you'll learn after blowing out enough areas as you get starting to get into delicate working places. And it's not like I just intuitively do that after messing up enough. Okay. Obviously, when you get in areas where you have enough material around you, you could be a little more freer with your turns and everything. So there's a tooth going in here. So the ones with teeth, sometimes I could cut them a little deeper if I want to anchor the tooth in. Okay, so on this one, I know there's no, it's not a tooth. I want to see how many. So it skips one, so there'll be no tooth here, and then there'll be a tooth. So maybe just finish these. Okay, so then there's a tooth here. And in my sketch, the cavities aren't even as organized. It's kind of like this haphazard. I'm getting a little bit more organized here, but maybe that's just because it doesn't have any teeth in it. The teeth are definitely not going to, like this will be a long tooth and then a short one here, or shorter one at least. I want it to look slightly scraggly. So we got 2 teeth, no tooth, and maybe nothing here. I might throw a small tooth back here. We'll see. All right, so what I was talking about before is I want to give a little structure to the gums, which means that what I meant by that is like, like little indents around where the roots of the tooth would go, or because there's so much surface area here. Don't have that to deal with up there, so it's fine just like that. So in between each tooth, going a little deeper, just to give like almost a consistent wall around there. And then I take a sanding sponge. Be like a grandpa potato and leave them just as is. So I'm holding the sponge and trying to hold it at an angle so that I could get, raise it and go back and forth so I can get those little dips. You see like little dips in a crest. It's hard. I have a pair of hemostats somewhere. I have several. I don't know where the freak they are. How this works, I guess. Sometimes it's easier to grab these with a pair of hemostats and get in there. I got 2 huge pairs of hemostats right there, but that's not what I want. Oh, Tammy steals my hemostats and brings them in the backyard. I wonder for what. All right, so. I usually don't use canned air for it. I have canned air left over from the elephant sculpture. Well, elephant and mouse sculpture. The Chessie, the checkmate sculpture. So it just seemed easy to use it for that right now. All right, let me back this camera off so I can see what we got so far. All right, so this guy looking at us, like what's going on? All right, so now we're gonna cut some teeth. So I have lemon juice and water, and that stops any oxidating of the potatoes so they stay white. And then we just grab, let's see. So we want to cut some teeth for this guy. Let's see. So we have 2 fangs going here. So I'm gonna grab a slice of potato. I'm gonna put it in this lemon juice. It's not straight lemon juice, it's lemon juice with water. And there's enough in it. I usually put sometimes I'll just it builds up even more lemon juice over time. Every time I once in a while put a little squirt on some important pieces. All right, so I need to make some teeth for this guy. I think I cut this potato big enough, we'll see. Or thick enough, I mean. Yeah, should be fine. All right, so now it's just a matter of, now these aren't, I'm not gonna make these like crazy realistic teeth because I just want some sharp cartoony look to this guy. These are way bigger so far. Dip that into. So I'll rough it out with a knife, and then I'll probably take, well, might have cut too deep maybe. Oh, maybe not. So I got it this far. Then I'm just gonna take maybe this tool and scrape it down. So he's gonna have, where's the knife? Usually during this phase, I end up scrapping a lot of the teeth that I'm making because I cut them too small or something, They don't always, but they're easy to make, so I just keep going. So this is still way too big because I don't want it to touch or overhang onto that bottom mouth. Now it's going to recess into there a little bit. See, but it's still way too big. So I can come down. Once I cut a few, then I start off with that big old chunk. And now I'm realizing how small it's actually going to be. It'll be easier for me to start off in the right ballpark area. So still not so much that it needs to go shorter, but I need to taper the root end of it so it goes up into there, into the cavity more, which will then make it shorter. And the lemon juice is burning my cut from yesterday. Still think it's a little bigger than I want. So I know this will probably be the right size now. I'm just gonna put a little bit of structure to the tooth. Just a line, really. Which isn't really registering. I'll sand it down a little. So it's really hard to hold this. It's all wet and slippery. Use a little garlic, pieces of garlic for the teeth. All right, so that's how I want that. I could just super glue that, or a combination of where's my cutters? Of toothpicks and super glue, or one or the other actually. Let's see what So I have the end of a toothpick, and I don't know if this is the best way to do it. Should this? You know, I don't even know why I'm using a toothpick at all. These things could go get glued in there without a problem. because this is just too much work and it's just gonna invite problems. But it is a lot sturdier now. There we go. Sometimes I forgot. Something, it's often I'm like, make something that I've done 1,000 fucking times, but yet I'm like, I forget my process and I just kind of walk somewhat in the dark toward it again. Just like I forgot, sometimes I just rough out the end of that to stick into the cavity and then carve it in place. I've done that too. I forgot that I do that part, but I don't, even if I could still do that right now, which I'm going to, but just reminding myself that I can go both ways with here, because I do want a little bit more of a curve here. So but I messed that up right there. So maybe I don't want to do that, because now this is hard to sand. I liked it how it was before. I used my fingernails as a cutting board so many times. All right, that'll work. So it's one tooth. And yeah, so I need another one. I don't know, this might be too skinny for my design there. I don't know, we'll see. Should have left it. But it won't take, if I want to switch it out, I won't just pop it out and put another one in. Probably gonna pop that out because I don't think I like it. It's too skinny, which makes it a little bit too pointy, but we'll see how it looks in the end. Be one of, after I get all the other teeth, I'll make that decision. Because I do want them to match, so Yeah, maybe I won't wait till the end to change the other one because it's bothering me just looking at it when I put this one up. So just gently scraping and getting rid of any planes that I didn't, from the cutting of the knife, from using the knife. Just kind of like creating the tooth out. And then I'll intentionally put little grooves in with this in spots, but just trying to get the major form scraped away. And then after I get that form scraped away, I'll take a sanding sponge. And you could actually, like, this will sand away at it, literally carve with it. So normally if I was making a little video, I wouldn't sit here and carve every single tooth and tape it, but I did want to have a video of the whole process. I wanted some videos on my YouTube that just showed the whole thing. So that's what you're getting. And maybe a little bit boring, but this is what it takes. It's so hard to hold this little piece. It's wet and slippery, and then my tip of my thumb was cut yesterday, so it's stinging. So here's a different grade sanding sponge, a little rougher. I want to see something. I'm just gonna glue these. So I use super glue. And I put too much already, I could see, because it's gonna get a white crust along there. Actually, it's too big too, so I'm gonna pull this out real quick before that crust. See that white crust? That's the super glue. So usually I try to make sure I don't use too much super glue, or else you get this kind of like spilling out of it, and then you get that white stuff so showing. But luckily this tooth was a little big anyway, so I can cut that part off. And let's see how this, And you know what? I'm going to go in here. I didn't even check. Yeah, it's not even, that cavity is not even big. It's not even opened up enough. Like, I sketched a lot of this stuff in, but I didn't really prep each of these for the actual tooth. That's much better. Tooth might even be too small now. That works. So I'm gonna keep this super glue to this side here. Try to keep it on heavier on the back far side of it, so none of it can be visible. Okay. And then I could maybe put a little I should have done that before I glued it, but it's all right. That's good enough. Let's see my sketch again. Damn it, where'd it go? Okay. So I need a tooth, two teeth right here. You can see these pieces of potato from before are still white because I put them in that lemon juice and they're fine. They're not oxidating at all. God, my fingers, this burns. Let's see. So it's a little too wide at the bottom, and then I'm gonna make sure that that cavity is deep enough. me just sand this down. So at these two, skip one, that'll be one here. I think I'm going to use this one back here instead. So I remember now the reason I was using toothpicks a lot was because the shape of the tooth that I carved doesn't perfectly fit the cavity that's carved, you know? So even though I put super glue on it, it doesn't mean there's contact points everywhere. And the toothpick ensures that it just stays in place. Because I noticed this one's just really stuck in there good. Whereas the other one that I just used, the super glue, doesn't always have the same strength. I mean, which is obvious, but you realize the importance of it as I'm dealing with it. Just glued and not pinned. So I'm gonna glue this one in. I'm not gonna pin it even after I said all that. I'm gonna glue this one in, and then I'm gonna carve, fine tune it in place. All right. Then I could take a knife. And I just like wanted to make sure that negative space right there is just we're even. See what I'm talking about? Well, thank you so much. Yeah, just doing it each year, just get a little better. That's how I stumble across things as I just plug away at it. And granted, not everything I carve looks great. I mean, that's how you get better is by just playing and just being playful about it, which inherently means not giving too much importance to the outcome. Yeah, this little dental tool here, this round one, works perfect for some of this stuff. All right, so next tooth. Let's see what we got. I need to do these two that go here. So this one's a little shorter, and then this one's longer, like that one. But I want them both to kind of come in. All right, so my knife, I'm just kind of going back and forth a whole bunch of different knives. So this is the knife that comes with the toolkit. So it's like hooked, and you can get in there. It's all good. And then this one is another triangle knife. I like it because it's gadgety. All right, it goes. I can carry it around. It's not, and it doesn't get messed up in my tools. It's always protected, the tip, and it has two different sides. Really super pointy and sharp. This blade's a little flexible, and then this side here is stiffer. Essentially like a big X-Acto knife with quality steel though. All right. Let's see. All right. So this one's gonna go somewhere like in there. I think that's close. So I'm just gonna, one more little spot, take off here. And then let's sand it down a little. So right now I'm using sanding sponges. You could also use the 3M scrubbing pads. More cost effective, but these work great, man. I just have, I've been using them for the sculpture I just finished, the elephant and mouse, so. And I don't want the actual teeth to be so like organized looking, you know. So I don't mind if they're off kilter here and there, a little asymmetry. Some I might even leave that small sharp one. Like I said, all the way to the end, even though I said both ways a bunch of time, going back and forth. So I think I will pin this one just because it's easy access and it's right there in the front, and I don't want to get knocked and hit and stuff. So I'm just gonna take a piece of toothpick, cut it smaller. Let's see, how do I want this? Actually, I don't know if I like this tooth. Maybe it works better for this side. Wait, where does this one go? Yeah, this side gets a smaller one. Maybe I'm gonna cut this one smaller and use it on that side. There wasn't enough curve to this. It looked like a wooden stake. Looked like a Grimgore tooth. Good scarecrow tooth. All right. This should pop in there. Yeah. I don't even need to glue that. But I will, and then I'll glue it and carve it afterwards if I need to. Come on, drip. Drip. All right, so I accidentally, but still, glue. I don't mind when the glue goes on the back side because you can't really see it that much from there. Try to avoid placing glue in the front part of the teeth or anything like that. So with this, I kind of want this tooth a little smaller. So I'm just going to cut it in place. All right. Next tooth. Let's see. Thank you. Thank you. All right, next tooth. Let's see. Let's get this one. Be third time trying to do this tooth, huh? There's something about carving like potatoes and pumpkins and stuff. It's like the photographs seem to be the funnest part of it. I mean, they're fun to look at, but I don't know. They photograph really nice sometimes. It can be difficult to photograph if you're not going that extra step to find, dial in that lighting and everything. They could often look very flat or just void of detail because they kind of have a transparent, translucent nature to them. But if you photograph them really nicely, the photographs seem to be just so fun to look at. All right, this is messed up, so Let's. So that's lemon juice and water over there. So I haven't really carved this sort of stuff in months, almost since last Halloween. Just now getting back into touching these materials and tools. Well, some of these tools I used on my clay sculpture. But it was nice to get back into clay. I plan on doing a few more. Well, I plan on continuing to dive back into that type of work as well. It was almost like 10 years since I sculpted stuff with like traditional materials. Been playing with sticks and rocks and pumpkins and potatoes, which I still plan on doing that too. That's too big, but that kind of. Oh. Let's see. So I will be, like I said several times on this, I'll be posting more of this type of content on here, and I'm also actually going to take the rest of the weekend after I finish this to contemplate how my Patreon page will look. So we'll have a lot more content available. And yeah, because I feel like I've been guilty of not sharing or opening up on my process as much, and trust me, it has nothing to do with having anything to hide other than myself, it seems at times, just because I do enjoy this sort of quietness of my introverted self. But I do want to share more. And that's what we're doing. All right, so I'm gonna, yeah, this one's gonna work good. All right, I'm gonna sand this though. And not all the content will be like this sort of live format, because I do enjoy making little videos that are edited and have lighting that's a little more theatrical, but sometimes that type of lighting doesn't work for this sort of atmosphere where I need to be able to move things and for you to see what I'm working on. All right, so I'm just going to glue that in there. I feel like that might have been way too much glue. Maybe not. Okay. Four, four, four. All right, so I'm going to put a tooth right here, small one. I'm just going to get some lemon juice on that. Okay, got some small teeth here. Let's see. Oh, next one's not too small. That's not gonna work. All right, this is gonna have to be smaller, but I need something to hold on to while I sand it, and so I'm gonna like shape the tip of it, and that's pretty much the only part I'm gonna use. All right, so I definitely want to go deeper in that cavity. It's been helpful to have deeper holes because it just kind of holds on its own when I stuff it in there. And then with a little glue, it really grabs. And then I won't even need to cut the end of this. I just need to maybe taper it and then plug it in there. We'll see. Maybe cut a little bit off of it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut a. Oh. All right, I need to go up directly. Okay. Come this way a little more. And yeah, that's how I want it. God, I don't even have to glue that really. Anything coming out of there. You know, I found if you spend some time carving cavities so that the rim of right before it goes in is kind of the exact size that you want, but then as you go into the cavity, go a little wider, just a little wider. You could, if you get this rim tight, the material itself has some give, so it will just grab around the piece of whatever it is, you know, the potato or something that you're putting into there. Like, that's perfect. I don't even have to glue anything there. All right, so I can see so far. All right, now. Okay, so tooth-wise, I'll just kind of play around. There's no. At this point, I got all the major teeth. I want two little teeth up in that corner here. And one little one back in there on the right-hand side. So it's a tiny little tooth. I feel like I might be the first person that sanded potatoes. No, I don't know, like Thai type culinary carving. Been going on for a while, and I'm sure they sand stuff. But just the idea of sanding a potato sounds funny. All right, so this little tooth, let's stick this maybe right here. Fuck. I actually like having this little loop tool. I can't really, you know, just to help hold it gentle. I can't like press too much into it or else it'll cut through and mess up. Sometimes it helps to place the not so much just now. Oh yeah. We'll get that to go in there. And we won't even have to glue this one either. I think better tool. So like this is really sharp little thin looped edge. So to push that down might be better to use maybe even this melon baller. or to go on the side like this. Oh, fuck. No, maybe not. It's in there enough anyway. This is just that lemon juice. I'm just wiping a little chunk I had on there. I didn't want the tooth that big right there, so I'm gonna come in with a knife and cut it down some. No, that's not gonna work. I was looking at that. I was just about to say this tooth's not gonna work because it wasn't filling. I could use it somewhere else. But it wasn't filling the cavity tightly. It was a gap, and I don't like the way that looked. It might be able to use this little thing on the other side in the back, though. We'll just go put it in right now. Or else it'll get lost on this tabletop. All right, so where do we got a tooth? So we skip one, we got one here. These holes aren't. So these holes are going in like they need to go this. They need to. These holes aren't really done properly, so I'm gonna go in and modify them. Actually, like that. That'll work. I don't even have to glue that either. But I do need to trim. Trim some of the tooth in that gum. Fuck, I might have messed it up. It's like it's hard to see when I say it. I might have messed it up. It might be hard to see on the camera, but yeah, I did mess it up. But I won't be. Make another one. And for this tooth right there on that side, it's definitely the type of tooth that's easiest to glue in and then trim in place. Like shape it out after it's glued. Sometimes that's easier to do. It just every application is a little different. But I just for this particular tooth, I'm gonna glue that baby in and then shape it. So just put a big piece of potato, let it run wild, and In this instance, I could use the loop to grab the end and push in because I don't care if it messes up the end a little because I'm going to cut all that off. Just allows me to get some force behind it and push in without it slipping. Okay, now much of that's going to get cut off. So it's like I almost have to cut towards the gum line. Damn it, I think I messed up. Oh, that could work. I might be able to live with that if I don't look at it enough. All right, that works. Yeah, I'll go over, before I do like final photographs this, I'll go over this thing and just pull off any little flake of this or that and clean it up all the way. All right, next tooth. Let's see. All right, I just have like one little one back there and maybe a little one up here, right next to this one. And then that's it. And then yeah, that's it. All right, so I'm just gonna glue this whole thing in there like we did before and see if hopefully it fits good and we could just pull it out. Well, hopefully it just fits good. I don't have to glue anything. I could just cut it, but damn it, I hate my tooth. And make that hole a little bigger. And I probably should sand this because I might not have to cut it all. And if I don't have to cut it all, it'd be nice if it's already fine-tuned, the tip of it's already fine-tuned. All right, it fits, but we're going to cut a little. Okay. All right. Let's just. So the tool that I'm using to, like, I dug into those gums with this one. So I know that roughly if I keep the tooth around at the base around like that similar diameter and shape, it should fit in there theoretically. Now with these side ones though, they go straight up, so I almost need a knife to get this side part of it. See, it's like really no cavity there. There's a bunch of scratch marks. And I need for it to go up and not just in. So that area right there is sloppy, but this tooth will cover some of that. In other words, once I could see it's going to be too big. So let me take probably this part off. Oh, I can't even see. I could tell where I'm going to need to, just because of the angle that this is going to need to hug the side there. Oh, shit. Like it's almost not, you know what? I'm not even going to be able to stick it into it. I got to make it look like it's sticking into it. So it's going to be more like this that we're going to do. Like a veneer. It'll have the illusion of going in there. So that's too big of a tooth for there. Fucker. So I can either glue it and then cut it in place, or just cut it out here. And I think I'm gonna cut it out here because it's just easier. So this should work now. Take sanding sponge to it though, real quick. This definitely have to be glued because there's nowhere to hold. I mean, it's almost holding by itself just because the material's wet, but you know, I'm gonna glue it in there, and then I'm gonna do some cutting on it too, because it doesn't need to be nearly as big as it is right now. So I'm using that toothpick to hold it, so I have something to cut against. Oh, this one's coming out. I have to glue this one better. All right. I think that's all the teeth my design had. I might want to put just one more tooth in there, and it's not even be a tooth, almost just like a little nub, and more just a tooth, but and I'll use, where's that loop? I think I'll use this to grab the potato with it. Now, I should have done, in hindsight, I should have done the teeth that are all the way in the back first so I could reach them without anything in the way. You know, like trying to get this tooth back there is going to be a little bit of a challenge. But because it's so small, I just want a little tiny hint of white. I could just drop and glue it wherever it goes. Should be not. I'm gonna do it with some intention, but it should look fine. I hope. And then I'll get like a. Let me get some crazy dental tool that can get back there easily. This one will work good, actually. I just need to cut it a little smaller. And this should be. Drop that right back there. I'll need some glue. There we go. There's the potato. The not so sweet potato. Although I had initial plans for him were going to be much angrier. He has kind of a gentle gaze about him, even though he's got sharp teeth. Initially, I wanted his eyelids to go down angry. Anyway, I'll probably finesse and move things around, but I'll do that for the photos. But there you go, start to finish. I could blow. Well, no, I don't know if I want to do that. I was gonna take that air blow, watch all teeth go flying out. I had a little paintbrush here. So before when I go take finished photos of this later, like I said, I'm gonna go over with a fine tooth comb and clean everything. But that's pretty much get all the little scraping stuff out. And anyway, thanks for joining. And there's a little sweet potato. Later.